And welcome to our AI in Focus segment. Here are some recent headlines from the world of artificial intelligence. Nvidia's CEO, Jensen Huang, says his company will soon be able to resume selling AI chips to China. Speaking in Beijing at the China International Supply Chain Expo, he praised Chinese AI models such as DeepSeek and Qwen, which could potentially use Nvidia's chips. And earlier this week, U.S. President Trump visited Pittsburgh and praised companies there for investing more than $90 billion in AI and energy infrastructure in the state of Pennsylvania. Trump officials say it is all about keeping U.S. competitive in AI, and here's proof that AI is taking over worker jobs. Microsoft is laying off more Candy Crush game division staff and replacing them with AI tools. The irony, these same employees helped develop those AI systems over several years. Now, for more insight into the current AI landscape, let's turn now to technology analyst and journalist Carmi Levy, joining us on the program. Thanks very much for taking time. We appreciate it.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, what can you say will be the immediate outcome of NVIDIA's CEO visit to Beijing? This potentially huge potential for this company.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the best possible news for the company. That was a significant drag ever since in April when the U.S. government imposed export restrictions on their higher-end chips. And of course, these chips are absolutely crucial for driving data centers to handle AI workloads. Nvidia said since those restrictions were introduced that they lost half of their market share in China because of it. And in the wake of the announcement that, in fact, those restrictions were being lifted, investors have responded by driving their stock up 6% and climbing. And so, this really is, it shows that, the U.S. government was using AI chips, particularly Nvidia as the leader in the market, almost as a bargaining tool in their negotiations with the Chinese government. And now that that issue has been resolved, the brakes are now off. Nvidia can continue to pursue the Chinese market as it always has. And we know full well that with the intensely rapid growth in AI take-up, that there is almost limitless demand for these technologies. Nvidia will be able to sell as many as it can make and export into the Chinese market.
Yeah, and let's take a look at what this, clearly it's going to mean a lot for China and it's going to mean a lot to Nvidia. But what are the advantages to the U.S.? Because I think back on when President Trump talked about DeepSeek and the progress that it made, he basically said, look, a rising tide is going to raise all ships. Is that the potential in this?
I think it is, because Nvidia, they just became the first company in history to surpass a $4 trillion valuation, largely driven on demand for their AI GPUs. And so, so goes Nvidia, so goes the rest of the market. And if Nvidia is allowed to realize its potential as the dominant player in the AI space, then clearly every other chip maker, every other software maker, every other power grid provider will benefit from that as well, because it means those restrictions are off not only on Nvidia but everyone else. So this, if you wanted to fuel the growth of AI with no limitations whatsoever, this is the scenario. Nvidia is hardly the only company that benefits.
Yeah, and Carmi, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, okay, what's going on behind the headlines? Why is the Trump administration right now allowing Nvidia to resume the sales of those chips to China? Because, come on, they banned them on the grounds of national security. So that's a big change.
Sure it is, but we all know full well that the claims of national security were really more of a headline than an actual emergency. It's the same logic behind TikTok claiming that they were enforcing that law requiring them to sell to an American buyer, also on claims of national security. If that were the case, they'd be looking through the rest of the App Store for every other app that originates from outside of the U.S. And so that was always a disingenuous claim. And really, I think the Trump administration is recognizing that this has broad-based impacts. When you start to clamp down on restrictions on AI technologies that start to hurt companies like Nvidia, you hurt the rest of the economy. Not good for the stock market, not good for overall optimism in investing in these businesses. And so I think the U.S. recognized they crossed a line. They've backed off from it, and now that essentially frees the industry to do what it does best, which is innovate without restrictions, without limitations.
Okay, let's talk about Elon Musk and his Grok AI and the Pentagon deal. How significant is this? Because there's been a lot of blowback on social media about Musk's Grok AI, the way it's working, and also his formerly strong ties to the Trump administration as well as the USG. Is this a sweetheart deal?
It would be if they were the only company that was getting money. In this case, they're getting $200 million to build out, they call it the Grok for Government program, but it's really to investigate ways that this large language model can be used by the Pentagon to gain advantage or give advantage to the warfighter. What kind of defense applications will benefit most from AI? It's $200 million to help answer those questions, but they're not the only company that's benefiting from this. Anthropic, for example, also getting $200 million, as well as Google and OpenAI. So this isn't, this could potentially be Elon Musk's game to lose, because now you have all of the major AI players essentially fighting it out. They've gotten some seed money from the Pentagon, but now they're going to be fighting it out for the really big contracts that result from this. And if Grok does not prove its worth in this context, in other words, if the issues about racism and xenophobia and no guardrails continue to dog this platform, they're going to lose out to the other competing AI players, and this is their opportunity to either make it or break it. We'll be watching that one closely too.
Carmi, well said. One final question. In reading this Candy Crush story, I got the impression I'm going to be reading this similar story down the road in the next years, who knows. It fired its staff and reportedly replacing them with an AI system that these employees helped build. What does it say about the future of tech employees?
It means it's an uncertain future, but of course this notion that AI is going to wholesale replace humans, we are seeing so many other companies. This is just the latest in a long list of examples. IBM, Klarna, Microsoft, they've all sort of, hired out, and replaced humans with AI, only to dial that back afterward and realize they had gone too far. And so I think it garners great headlines. We're using technology to streamline our operations. Investors like that in the short term, but in the long run, the damage is fairly significant. You lose that human capital, you lose that ability to create these AI applications in the first place, you're going to be outflanked by some other company that was a little bit more careful with its AI tools. So I think this is a warning to the rest of the industry, and maybe ease off the gas a little bit on replacing your humans with AI technology.
I think that was our friends in Silicon Valley saying, I hope you're right, I hope you're right. Carmi, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Really appreciate being here. Thank you.